All right, everybody. I'm so excited to be with you today. This is Jessica Motter. I am the author of Love Life, Be Life, Share Life book and the Empowering Freedom podcast. I'm so excited to be with you today. I've got a new friend of mine, Abdul Muhammad, on. He and I are going to be part of Become the Best You, BTBY hashtag. If you are doing hashtags, that's what you can look up, hashtag BTBY. To find that conference and find more information about it. But it's an amazing event, helping people become the best version of themselves. And Abdul, I'm so excited to have you on today. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Well, can you share with us more about you, your story, and then what the viewers of BTBY can expect from you?
Sure. My name is Abdul Muhammad, and I know my name is not a traditional American name. I am American and was born in America. I was born in New York City, in Harlem, and not the Harlem with the Whole Foods there, but a different kind of Harlem back in the early 80s, and it was rough. And all we wanted to do was get the heck out of there. I was blessed and to have parents that, despite our economic challenges and socioeconomic conditions, really focused on love and really imparting on me faith and having belief in myself and others and in the goodness of humanity, and really being contribution. And as I grew up through these different trials and challenges, despite that, really came out being loving and successful on the other end. And so my journey took me from New York to various parts, New Mexico for a stint, and then onward down to Florida, where I landed there for high school. I enjoyed Florida, but it was very, very different for me. And sort of moved through that into business and really set myself up with, after going to University of Florida, getting involved in technology and really looking at web development at the time and evolving from there into marketing and business. And so as I evolved through that process, that's really where I got my skills and passion for doing what I do right now. And that's really helping entrepreneurs and small businesses grow, both their businesses and their personal brands. And so, as I work with entrepreneurs and small businesses, much similar to my story, we had challenges that you overcome. There's sort of this purpose behind things that oftentimes we get caught up in working in the business that you lose sense of your own personal purpose and really the impact that you're busting your butt so hard for. And so sharing my story and the journey of how I overcame those things and really found what I call lifestyle synthesis, is what I'm going to be speaking about on the stage. And in this lifestyle synthesis, it's sort of not what we look at. You always often hear work-life blend and work-life balance and these things, and this sort of juxtaposition between having your passion and work and life. And I look at a different philosophy called lifestyle synthesis, where everything in your life is sort of synthesized. It's all in harmony. It's all attuned to some very simple core values that guide how you show up. It guides the decisions that you make in your life. And it's very empowering and very freeing. So oftentimes we feel trapped in our lives, living these lives that, are not our authentic self. And and it manifests itself in all sorts of ways that are disempowering. So I like to work with entrepreneurs, those who are having an impact, not just making money, but actually have an impact on the planet and really are up to greater things that not only help themselves, but also help all of us, because we all are really connected. And really those who care about stuff like that, those are the people that I serve now and really seek to work with. Those who really understand that there's something greater than the dollar, and the dollar is here to really be loved and cherished and taking care of all of us, right? In unity and in a way that elevates. So that's what I would be bringing, a little bit of that, and then sharing some of the practices, right? Because there's a lot to talk about, but then how do you actually integrate that way of thinking, that mindset into a daily routine where it's not just talk, but you actually are seeing outcomes. You're getting exercises, resources, tools, etc., a roadmap in order to close the gap between the life that you may be living now that may have you anxious or feeling like you're missing something, and that empowered life where you're really free living that lifestyle synthesis. It's a lifestyle of bliss where I get to wake up every single day. I do what I love doing. I'm doing it right now remote. I moved out of Brickell, Miami, and I'm working remote. I'm working with artists. I'm working with my nonprofit. I'm working with people who are creating businesses, and it's alive, and everything is aligned. And so being able to share how I got from what the proverbial rat race was, making money and really doing great things in corporate America, going from a chief digital officer and a partner in a company to just seeing how that was a gap between my happiness, making great money, living in Brickell, like awesome cars, this whole thing, but just not happy and not complete, not fulfilled. And really, how do you create that life where you can actually get paid and still do this heart-centered work? Like, this is sort of the future. This is, we're in so much pain right now when you look around the world and why we're reacting these things. And so how do we reconcile that and feel empowered that you can actually do something, right? Because it gets hard looking outside at all of these things. And it's like, oh my God, how can I even help? There's so many problems. And if you just go inward and focus on yourself and really being the best you, becoming the best you, right? And taking on the tools and resources that are around you and being intentional, that is really what it's all about. That's what I'm going to be sharing on the stage.
Well, I can't wait to hear it. So Become the Best You is an in-person event in St. Louis, Missouri, Clayton area. I'm from Kansas City. As you can tell, we have the Super Bowl today, in case you didn't know, for those listening. But we will be in St. Louis and also online. So if you're in an area where you can't get there, it's obviously this coming up week. It starts on was it Thursday or Friday? I'm like, my weeks are like so not on track right now.
The 17th. That's all I know.
17th to the 20th. It's on my calendar. I'm coming. I've had snow days with kids and all these things. And I'm like, what day is it? It's Sunday. I know that. And so I'm so excited to be a part of it and to meet you in person. It's going to be a lot of fun. And there's so many amazing speakers and people. The lineup is incredible. I have one of the ladies, Lotus Roche, I'm so excited to meet. She and I have done an online event together, interview. I get to meet her in person. I get to see my friend Brenda in person, Terrence in person, and Anthony Russo in person, and see all these amazing people in person. My friend Erin Page, she talked about heart-centered. She's like the heart-centered guru. So there's gonna be a lot of people, a lot of fun. As well, because there's entertainment and there's, a black tie event and there's a comedian and a clean comedian too. Like, may I say that? Like, I don't know. I love comedians, but I honestly like going to a regular comedian. I'm like, it's funny, but can you not just like leave some stuff out of there? Like,
it gets a little crass at times.
Language. Yeah. I'm like the language and some of the things. I'm like, we could just leave it out. Jokes are still funny without it. So Jeremy Nunez is amazing. I got to hear him last year. So it's going to be an amazing event. So I'll post up the information with this recording. Something I'm going to go back to, because it's funny you said growing up in the 80s. So we must have been like 80s people, you and I both. And you were talking about contribution and belief and all of that. Contribution is big to me too. So can you tell us more about your nonprofit?
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, the nonprofit is called Quality Life Center. And we're based out of Fort Myers, Florida. And we've been around for over 30 years. My father started it when we moved from New York City down to Fort Myers. And Fort Myers was rough as well, not Harlem, but it was rough, but in a different way. There was a lot of segregation and it was a lot of difficult challenges when it comes to impoverished communities. And, when we got there, there was just a struggling community. And my dad was always one who looked at, hey, don't look outward, don't point blame, take ownership, take action, do what it is that you have been blessed to do and move. And then the universe, God, Yahweh, Jehovah, God, however, whatever you all believe, right? And I say that to show that it's just peace and love for everyone and their beliefs. But there's something higher than us that we really should all be striving toward, right? And as long as you're moving in that direction, that faith, that belief of just taking action, not waiting until you have millions of dollars, right? Not waiting. My dad, we didn't have anything, right? But dedicated his life to that because that was the value that he saw in people. And that's something that it took me a while to grow and learn and really value at the level that he has. And I love and appreciate him. So over 30 years ago, he started the nonprofit Quality Life Center to really help the at-risk youth get off the street and as a tool and a resource to prevent drug dealing and gang violence on the streets where we grew up. And so, these are things that, fast forward 30 plus years, we still are struggling with in these impoverished communities that are socioeconomically struggling. And so how do we deal with that? He started what's called the ACE program, where it's about academics, character, and education. And when we look at that, develop making sure that after school programs in order to increase education, science, the STEM program, science, technology, education, math. And so really looking at how these things work and are instituted, because these kids go home and they don't have necessarily the structure to provide that. And so how can we come together as a community, be the village, and so provide that infrastructure? And, has worked closely with great partners like Florida Gulf Coast University in the area, like Lee Health, and really established over the years some really strong partnerships with Lee County, et cetera. And we've got a building there and facility. We have after school programs, and we lately have expanded these programs, not just targeting the youth, the 5 years old to 17, but now expanding it into the community. We have mental health because we know that a lot to do with the challenges that are in these impoverished communities and zip codes are really mindset and mental health issues that are struggling and no access to having people and even a safe space. And oftentimes doesn't need to be dealt with drugs, just someone who gets you, right? And is able to have a powerful conversation of relatedness. And so how do we bring these sort of services into the communities that need it so that the impact is there? And so for over 30 years, we've been continuing to build on the mental health and wellness is one of the last additions that we're rolling in. And now we're rolling out in 2023, the what's called the Q Up, which is our entrepreneurship and small business mentorship program. And I'm proud to be heading that up. And really focused on, entrepreneurship and economic development and building generational wealth. And when we look at it, it's again, not looking to government or anyone else, but really taking ownership and looking at how we can create infrastructure and ecosystems that are supporting. A lot of the youth that have gone through our program from Quality Life for over 30 years graduate like myself from schools, but then we don't return back to those neighborhoods. Right. We want to live in the nice high rises in Miami and with the wraparound views. We're not going back to those neighborhoods. So what happens is that the median household incomes in those neighborhoods, what happens? So it's a problem. It's a vacuum. But what do? We've got to create the environments where we want to bring back people and it attracts people because there are jobs and there are things that really make people rally around an area and start to bring value to land and things like that. And so we're going to be really getting at the root of that from a community standpoint and providing the entrepreneurial training, the ongoing support that's needed to have successful profit generating businesses that provide economic value to towns and the zip codes that need it most. But then most important, continue to attract the business and attract the leadership and attract the communities that they deserve. So.
Wow, that's amazing. It sounds like the project is, really fulfilling for you. And, I'm sure your dad, is he still living or is he?
Yes.
Yeah.
He
I'm
still
sure
is.
he's like super proud of you for helping with that. And, it's like you've learned, like literally we're like born into it. Right. But it's really cool to see how, like just the small things, but they become big things because, they say like kids and their formation of thoughts and all those things, like their life, like what they have when they're like 5 or 6 or 7 is going to determine like what happens in the future. And so if you can get in there, like you said, the 5-year-olds, that makes a difference. I mean, total difference. I know for me, like no one said to me, like, how are you feeling when I was that age? It was more like, kids are seen, not heard. And, so some of these things that I have a 4 and 6-year-old. And so much now school is like, got a magnet from church the other day that was like all about the feelings. And then at school, they have the same thing. And just really talking about, their feelings and helping them cope with, showing them ways to cope with things. And, so it doesn't turn into like this big major problem, where, like you said, there's violence and gangs and all these things. And, really, I just, like that belief you help with, showing them they're important, like there's a purpose for their life, and there is purpose. They are loved. We're doing a big campaign right now. We start tomorrow. It's called You Are Loved, like the U and then the R and then loved. So you can do hashtags on that, but we're starting a new challenge for that because right now, so many people need to hear that. They need to know that. And they matter, right? Like every single person matters.
Yes.
That's amazing. I can't wait. I'm even more excited to meet you because it's so different when you like get an email and you message somebody and you got replies back and forth. But it's so awesome to have a conversation with you. And I'm excited for this week. So if you're coming to Become the Best You, we'll see you there. If you want to check it out online, go to comechangeyourlife.com and you can find out more information, get the tickets for it. And then stay tuned because we're going to have conferences, every 6 months or so. So August in Kansas City, we'll be hosting it here. I'm so excited. This is an international event. We have people coming from all over the place. It's going to be amazing. So Abdul, thank you so much for your time today. It was a pleasure. And I will share your information with everybody. So it was just such a blessing to be with you today. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Pleasure being here. It's really great being with you.